everybody. Steve Lewis here, Director of UGC and Video for Symphonic. I work primarily with my team, and we handle the monetization and the distribution of content to platforms like YouTube, but also including Facebook, TikTok, other new uses of audio in as opposed to the traditional, what is now traditional, music streaming world of, say, Spotify, Apple. YouTube is a great place to be for artists and labels. A lot of people were afraid of YouTube for a long time, thinking it was too confusing or it was too easy to get robbed, basically, of any good royalties. But the YouTube Content ID system historically has been one of the better rights management systems, and it's been slowly improving since they started it in 2006 to avoid getting sued into oblivion. And then we've seen other tech companies follow suit, including Facebook, SoundCloud, etc. What we're looking at today is a broad strokes picture of the YouTube environment and the many aspects therein. That starts today with YouTube Music, which is the new streaming, well, it's not new anymore, but it's the streaming offering designed to compete with Spotify, etc. But it's sort of hand in hand with the traditional use of YouTube. So it's a bit of a different animal from Spotify or Apple Music. YouTube really took their time. They started it in 2014, 2015 as YouTube Red, and it sort of changed its vibe from there. They really, for a long time, wanted to just squeeze a bunch of music streaming content into the traditional experience of YouTube without really going the extra mile and branding it as as a music service. Lear Cohen came on in 2017, 2018, changed it up. They rebranded from YouTube Red to YouTube Music, which is a big improvement. They've made it a much better user experience. They've made the content we deliver a little more prominent for users, and they've grown subscribers as they've gone. We'll talk more about that in detail. The second part of our discussion today is going to be about Content ID, which is a big, scary, intimidating concept for many people, but it's really just a rights management system that allows you to implement policies on your content using audio fingerprinting or video fingerprinting if you have video assets. So we use this a whole bunch, and we encourage all of our distributed labels to take part. It's now actually included in our deal. We had it as a separate amendment for a while, but now if you want it, you can have it with Symphonic. So what we're doing with Content ID is claiming an iteration of your track anywhere that it might exist on YouTube. And that's why my department is called UGC, or User Generated Content. Lots of people are out there uploading stuff that doesn't belong to them. And rather than get litigious or shut people down, we like to make revenue. So, we implement the policy of monetize most of the time. There are options to block users or, like pre-release leaks that people don't want out there until release day. It does have functionality like that. But we find that the philosophy of blocking everything, which in the past some people took, is really outdated now, because basically with other ad-supported, freemium tiers on other platforms, someone's going to go to your content there. So really, it's a battle to get to the users, the user base. The user base of YouTube is huge. It's on par with Facebook in the 2 billion monthly active users area. So whereas Spotify, the rates might be better for a label or an artist it depends. The answer with YouTube when people talk about rates is always it depends, because of the fact that it is a ad supported model primarily. There are subscriptions now too, but ad supported stuff tends to go to the highest ad bidder and the rates improve there. So if you have a hot video, advertisers will pay more to be on that, and therefore your intellectual property will garner a higher rate. So that's why everyone says it depends. When you say, how much do I make per stream? It's frustrating, but long story short, you go get some action, you're gonna make more money. And then we're also gonna talk about some offerings from Symphonic, including channel management, which is where we invite you to join our multi-channel network, and channel optimization, which is a one-time service fee wherein we improve your channel and give you a content strategy and as well as analytics breakdown for what you can do to grow your YouTube channel. And there's lots of new features happening, like official artist channels, which is really a great improvement in that it will allow YouTube music content to be joined with your official channel content and stitch you together into an official artist channel. And you could even bring in your Vivo channel as well if you have one. And you get a nifty little music check mark that looks like a verification badge. Others who get verified get a check mark, but they're really pushing for official artist channels to be the big thing for musicians and artists. We'll talk about that in more detail shortly. So I've got a presentation, which I'm gonna sort of go off of. Let me just pull it up here. Now, I'm gonna run off at the mouth. This is just sort of my outline. YouTube is a complex environment that people don't always understand. So I'm gonna try and make the structure top level, but I may run off at the mouth a little bit. So forgive me if I get too verbose. This is a platform rundown for 2020. We're talking about YouTube Music Premium, YouTube Content ID, and YouTube channels, as well as those few offerings I was talking about. YouTube Music Premium is the streaming service. Now, there's a nomenclature challenge here in that we get YouTube Music is how they refer to it, as the experience of YouTube Music. YouTube Music Premium means subscribing to YouTube Music Premium, wherein you get background mode and an ad-free experience. However, users can go to the YouTube Music app and view everything that a YouTube Music Premium user would view. They're just going to see ads. So the mobile app is not limited to subscribers only, but you're going to get a lot of ads. And YouTube loves us to give you 2 ads nowadays. Don't you love that? So for the sake of our terms being clear, we're going to say YouTube Music Premium to refer to the subscription service, and YouTube Music to refer to the experience of YouTube Music through the apps and desktop iteration as well, which could be by a subscriber or an ad-supported user. So just so there's no confusion about if I say one thing and then I say another. There's also YouTube Premium, which is slightly more expensive subscription that gets you YouTube with no ads on anything. So that's just making it more confusing. So I'm not even going to talk about that again. We're talking about YouTube Music and YouTube Music Premium today. Then we're going to talk about Content ID, which is a rights management system. And we're going to talk about the traditional use of YouTube channels, which are greatly improved by official artist channel option. Okay, moving on. YouTube Music Premium. The new platform was launched in 2018. It's a big improvement on the previous iteration, which was YouTube Red. And it works more like a music streaming app. If you want to go to your desktop version on your computer and go to music.youtube.com, I highly suggest you do that. This is still kind of a mystery to a lot of people. People get directed to this by links and such. But YouTube has yet to make it very clear that it's even an option. It gives you a dark mode experience of YouTube Music. The thing is, it's the same website as youtube.com, www.youtube.com, but with the prefix music.youtube.com. You get a much more music-friendly algorithm in the recommendations and in the autoplay. And you get this nice looking and easy to navigate interface of the desktop version of YouTube. So it's giving you an experience that's much more like the YouTube app. It's also giving you a playback controls and a scrubber, much like Spotify or someone would give you Tidal. And then try the YouTube Music app if you haven't yet. You don't have to subscribe, but it's, you know, if you don't like ads, subscribe, check it out. It's, I find their autoplay to be really good because everything's based on your user history. And so, you know, if you've had a YouTube account, which most of us have, and you're looking at stuff all the time, like most of us are, the music portion of what you're looking at is going to be factored into what they recommend to you. And whatever secret algorithms they're using, I think are pretty good. I think Spotify is good too. Things are moving more and more toward a lean back experience, an autoplay experience, and I think YouTube Music is doing a pretty good job at that. So now, just last year, they only had about 45 territories, but they've been doing deals in new countries, and now it's up to 95 territories for YouTube Music, and that is to say, the content we deliver as a distributor, which means your albums, will be live as art tracks, which are what we call the iterations of what we deliver to YouTube. They usually live on topic channels. You may have seen that. The topic channel can be brought into your traditional channel if your traditional channel applies for an official artist channel. Anyway, that content is now live in 95 territories. There's still some where what we deliver is not going to be seen. Now, Content ID, conversely, is available worldwide, but the territorial restrictions will apply depending on the release. So if somebody's got worldwide, and then some person out there uploads your stuff in a country that's not covered by YouTube Music, your stuff can still go up as UGC and be monetized. But eventually, probably Google, YouTube will get worldwide deals together for YouTube Music. They're on the long game, and it's, you know, they've been doing it for 5-6 years now, and they're not going to go away anytime soon. So if you take a look at these are the countries they have. A lot of big music markets. It's a good place to be for your stuff. Let's see. Okay, I think this is kind of stuff I've already said. You know, it's musically curated a little more when you experience YouTube Music at the music.youtube.com or on the app. And, you know, you'll get genre, playlist, recommendations, all kinds of stuff. So as I said, YouTube Music is indicating the music-oriented user experience of YouTube. So that could be any user, whether they are subscribed or not. Google Play Music is now deprecated, but users can keep their subscriptions and be using that same subscription to access YouTube Music Premium. There's a lot of backlash against this in that, you know, YouTube Music acted a lot like, Google Play Music acted a lot like people's iTunes replacement as a streaming alternative. And, you know, it's just those who picked Google Music when it was time to decide Spotify or Google Music. Now they're kind of out of luck. YouTube wouldn't like me to say that, but it's, you know, the functionality is there's a lot of functionality there on YouTube Music, the app, but it's hard to bring things over maybe your own uploads, your own downloads. If you had downloaded from the Google Play Store, you know, if you were a person who liked to download MP3s, I'm seeing a lot of complaints about how that functionality is working. But it is what it is. Okay. The subscription rate continues to grow, and we see revenue growth as a result. Because the subscribers are going to be paying a rate. Whatever a subscriber watches is going to be monetized at a better rate. Now, this could be the same content. If it's watched by an ad-supported user, it might not get that same rate. There's a lot of ins and outs with the way YouTube figures out their revenue reporting and sharing, and we have pretty good clarity on it in the reports. We've recently entered into a new deal, Symphonic has, with YouTube, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But the big picture is that subscription revenue has been growing year over year in the hundreds of percent. It's, you know, it's really rolling. And you could argue that this is taking revenue away, the YouTube Music revenue is taking revenue away from the ad-supported, which we get as two different reports. But we're not really seeing that. We're just seeing both tiers of our revenue from YouTube go up and up. And that's what we want to see. And we at Symphonic, myself and Esteban more primarily, excuse me, are doing a lot of proactive work in order to make sure that our label's content is monetized as much as possible. Conflicts get cleared. Disputes get resolved. We're looking at reference files, which are the fingerprints by which Content ID finds out, you know, does the audio matching. We're reactivating those that have been made inactive. And we're dealing with literally millions of tracks. So thankfully, the Content ID system for the user who might be a distributor or an aggregator or label, it's pretty powerful. And YouTube right now is changing up their user interface from what we called Content Manager to what we now call YouTube Studio. And some of the functionality is not super great, but we're hoping and praying that YouTube is going to get it all functional before they take away our old version. So this is all to say that we at Symphonic take YouTube very seriously because it's one of our top DSPs. The subscriber count is now at about 20 million. The subscriber count of YouTube Music Premium is now around 20 million. Whereas it was only hovering around 11 million just last year. So almost double in a year's time. The new regions that they're adding is contributing to a lot of this and to a lot of the revenue growth. US, Japan, France, the UK, and South Korea are our biggest regions, with India and most of Latin American territories coming close behind as new growth for YouTube Music Premium. But that also gets momentum going on the other side of YouTube too. Excuse me. As more users are joining, we see more activity on both tiers of YouTube. New features. This is not necessarily part of YouTube Music. YouTube Music Premium, let me say. This is a great feature called Official Artist Channels. The requirements for this are that you have your own channel, which most musicians would have, artists would have think of it as a traditional YouTube channel wherein you put up videos, you put up your official music videos, maybe you put up behind the scenes stuff, you put up vlogs, you put up documentary style. And all of this stuff lives there, perhaps gets monetized if you have a partner who can do it for you, or you do it yourself through the YouTube Partner Program. Then a few years ago, they start YouTube Music. They're delivering these art tracks, which are, again, what we call the iterations of our distributed audio. We deliver metadata, audio, and artwork via feed. Then YouTube stitches that all together into a video asset that lives on a topic channel, which is usually the artist's name or various artists if the artist doesn't have enough activity going on. So, you know, it's because they own that content. Well, they don't own it, but the art tracks are part of the YouTube Music system. And this created a lot of backlash among users and artists. First of all, because they weren't serving up the art tracks. This is along about 2016, 2017. You know, you couldn't find the art tracks very well in search results. The YouTube Music app didn't have a lot of functionality. So people are delivering these hundreds of thousands of tracks and not getting anything for it, really. But we see now it was a slow burn. They had to secure the deals to get the content, and then they had to build out the product to be worthwhile. And they have, you know, it's a good product, but it just took a long time. So one of the major complaints was, YouTube, hey, where's my stuff? I would deliver all this stuff, I can't find it. Oh, it's on a topic channel. Oh, I'm an artist called John Smith. This went to the other John Smith. And so then it's a big kerfuffle of like, let's get the tracks straight. So slowly but surely, and through the customer support, client support of YouTube, which is actually pretty robust, we've been able to, you know, get people's tracks in the right place. But still, it was on a topic channel, which was kind of hidden, hard to find. So in the last year or two, they've offered official artist channels, wherein a distributor and an aggregator or a label like us would go on behalf of a client, make an inquiry or a request for an official artist channel. Now this entails you got to have a topic channel with a couple of videos on it, art tracks. You got to have your own channel with a couple of videos on it. If you got that, you can get one, but you have to be an artist. You cannot be a label. This is frustrating for many people because a lot of labels, you know, want to put all their artist stuff on one central channel. I wish I had good news for those who want to do this kind of thing to their label channel. Some labels are not even artist-centric, but they're more catalog-centric. You know, we deal with a lot of those too. So it would be great if they would apply this functionality to a label channel, but it looks like that's not the way they're going. So here we see Eamon Tobin's channel. And this is an old screenshot. I should have taken a new screenshot. He's now got 23,000 subscribers in the last year, up from 15,000. So what we have is, you see the little music check mark, you can see next to the name, all the official music videos. And if I were to scroll down, I'm not going to leave the PowerPoint, but scrolling down, we would see albums section. So we have sections here on the artist page, official artist page. You see a section called albums. That's all your YouTube music content. So that's a great thing to have. And then you can finally look at YouTube and say, I'm going to direct my marketing dollars to get people to my YouTube page. And they're going to see my albums. They're going to see my behind the scenes and, you know, typical YouTube stuff. And that's going to get them what they need. So, you know, we love official artist channels. We think it's a great thing for marketing for artists. So I would encourage you to apply for them if you don't already have one. And there's a link we can provide. If you're a Symphonic client, we're happy to apply on your behalf for no fee. The downside is it's taking right now anywhere from 3 to 4 months for them to combine the thing because their queue is so thick right now at YouTube. But it does get done, you know, so it's like the sooner the better, and it just takes a while to get everything sorted. Again, we wish they would do it for labels, but it seems to me that that's probably a non-starter. They call it owned and operated. They want you to have an owned and operated channel. And not that label channels aren't owned and operated, but that's the YouTube's lingo to say, meaning an artist channel, whereas they're the owner of the sound recordings. YouTube music features. Standard artist channels. So this is if you were not on your official artist channel. This content might be feeding what's on your official artist channel from the back end. But if I'm on YouTube Music, see here in the corner, it says YouTube Music, and this would be the artist channel within YouTube Music, and it's a nice layout. So think of this as the equivalent of the Spotify artist page. These used to be really bad on YouTube, but now they're looking pretty good. So that's just a nice feature, a nice add-on. Moving on, more new features. We got a playlist pitching tool now. This is just a little screenshot of the back end. The people who are going to do the pitching are going to be Symphonic marketing staff within the back end of YouTube, the Creator Studio. And we pitch official videos. We can also pitch art tracks. They tend to prefer official videos. And then it gets into curated playlists, which is great. There are curated playlists within YouTube. A lot of these were brought over from Google Play Music initially, but they've been kept active and alive, and they're going to be constantly populated with people like us pitching. So if you have a great video, you know, go to your client manager, say, I think you should pitch this on YouTube. And also, you know, for music we distribute it through our video distribution. There's other pitching possibilities with Tidal, Apple Music. We're not really talking about video distribution today, which is a separate product from our audio distribution deal. But just saying that so that you know, we have a lot of traction with video pitching in general. And so this is an aspect more about your art tracks or your official videos on YouTube, not your Vivo videos. So, you know, with the interactivity and the recommended videos and the strength of the autoplay, and they definitely recommend playlists a lot to people in YouTube Music. So, you know, you can drive a lot of streams by getting in a good playlist. It's not the end all be all. And we always are telling people this, you know, the music industry has an obsession with getting on playlists. The fact of the matter is there's too many playlists, and you can work really hard to get on playlists, and it doesn't always do anything for you because, you know, you get on a playlist. So that's one of 10,000 playlists today. So I would encourage you to build fans rather than thinking a playlist is going to be a secret sauce to get you a lot of action. This is just an aside for me, not necessarily to do with YouTube, but like, you know, your Spotify monthly listeners, much better indicator and followers as well of really making something happen than, say, getting on a playlist and getting, you know, thousands of views on sort of what may wind up being a fluke. Because you know how much attention people pay to what they're doing. It's not much, especially, you know, I mean, don't let me get started on marketing because it's not my expertise, but a lot of people are working very hard sometimes to get things that aren't really the right direction you should go with your marketing. So just to say, playlists are not everything. However, there are curated playlists on YouTube Music. So it's worth pitching when you have something really good. YouTube Content ID. Content ID is the content management system we use to monetize or block content across YouTube. And this can apply to any content, which could be own channel content, art tracks, or user-generated content. Now that's confusing for people because we deliver the art tracks as part of YouTube Music. However, the back end, the thing that claims them, the thing that understands them as intellectual property is still Content ID. So it's a rights management system that covers all these many options on the back end. But when we say Content ID in terms of your deal, or as in Symphonic Distribution's Content ID offering, that is to say, we take your releases and we deliver them as audio sound recording assets, and, you know, metadata and audio, which equals a sound recording asset, to YouTube for specifically the fingerprinting of the uses of that content anywhere on YouTube. So, you know, cat videos, your own videos, wherever it gets used, it gets claimed. And if we don't want to claim on it, we can whitelist things. We can whitelist a channel. We can release an individual claim. Say things are for promotional purposes. We might release a claim that has been automatically generated. Or if you have partners who are sharing your music and have the right to do so, we're happy to release on behalf of our clients, you know. But we get some third parties asking, hey, release this. And we have to say, who are you? And they're like, oh, I'm just a guy who uploaded this. And it's like, no, we're monetizing this on behalf of our clients. So, you know, that's what's up with claiming. And there's a lot of stuff out there. My last presentation, 400 hours of content were uploaded to YouTube every minute. So, you know, 5-6 months ago. Now it's 600 hours of content are uploaded to YouTube every single minute. So someone out there is maybe using your track. And if they are, you should be making money on it. And that's what Content ID will do for you. So the asset is a YouTube container for the intellectual property. That is an audio track or whatever your asset is. It could be a music video, it could be a web video, or composition share. We handle publishing as well. So we take a reference file, which is a piece of audio. We take the metadata. We deliver it via feed, DDEX feed, to YouTube's Content ID. And it creates the asset. The majority of what we do is a sound recording asset. Although we do also deliver occasionally video content. And then we get a lot of video assets through our channel management, which is a different product, different discussion, so I'm not gonna talk about it here. Claims. Second item on the Content ID sheet, claims. You can think of the claim as the action applied by an asset onto a video on YouTube. So an asset being a thing or a noun, the claim being the action or the verb, if that helps you think of it. When a claim is created by a match, then a policy is implemented. Now the policies are usually preset. Most, let's say 99.9% of our policies are monetized in all countries, which would monetize in not only the countries where we have, it wouldn't necessarily monetize worldwide, it would monetize in the countries where we have territorial rights according to what our releases, what information our releases give us. So content delivery is how we get the assets there by a DDEX feed, which is pretty much an industry standard XML format. It creates the assets. And it designates the policy, designates the territory. So how do we optimize Content ID? We look at potential claims a lot. This is a great feature where we can check those claims that are a little too vague to match by the machines. by the robots in Content ID. So it requires a bit of manual oversight, but it's very helpful to get an early start on claims rather than miss some. Asset conflict clearance. We do a lot of research. We do a lot of outreach to third parties. When an asset is in conflict with a third party, no revenue is earned by either party until the conflict is cleared. Revenue is earned by YouTube, so they don't hold up anything, and it's held in escrow by them. So we get a lot of conflicts with other parties, and we're always mitigating those. That's a big part of our day-to-day, myself and Esteban. And what we do is proactively reach out to the third parties. Now, the music industry is such that with licensing being what it is, many people can have the rights to distribute many sound recordings, or the same sound recording. Many people can have the rights to distribute the same sound recording, and that's all above board. Historically, it has been. Many greatest hits compilations bought in gas stations and stuff like that. However, what the technology companies want is for there only to be one iteration of everything. And rather than decide that, which we wouldn't want them to anyway, they insist that we sort it out amongst ourselves. So a lot of companies who have the rights to digitally distribute are going to have to compromise, or they're going to have to yield if somebody has a better claim to the content than they do. For example, if somebody's a master owner, they have the rights to YouTube. There could be many, many iterations of people who have licenses from whatever release, but that has less priority than the owner of the master when it comes to monetization on YouTube. There's many people who do proprietary remasters to clear out the pops and hisses of things. Those are ineligible. There are a lot of things that are ineligible, and lack of exclusivity is one of the things that can make something ineligible. So we have to go back and forth with paperwork, contracts and stuff showing third parties, hey, we have the rights and here's why, and they release it or we release it if they're right. And it's a big heavy lifting operation, but that's what you get when you join a content manager, content ID relationship like Symphonic or one of our peers, because when you're doing it on your own as a YouTube partner, you may be able to monetize, but with conflicts, you won't have the same. If you have a conflict from third party, you will go through a dispute process, which is just a queue that can take a long time. So, the advantage to being with someone like Symphonic is that when conflicts arise, we have the contacts, we have the ongoing conflict clearance, so we can get things done, actually. Disputed claims, moving on. These are, users often get really mad about claims. And the YouTube system is wrong a lot in its claims. So we have to do manual oversight of disputed claims, and we release as necessary. Reference overlaps. This also stems from the problem we have of many parties having the same sound recording. So if things match, that creates a reference overlap. It's the same audio. Even if it's a slightly different mix or a slightly different remaster, or it could have a sporadic overlap if it's like, say, a remix where they use the beat from something. So that's a big task too that we do with heavy lifting and a lot of manual oversight. And we think we do a great job, but it never ends. The minute you upload new stuff to the YouTube system, there's going to be more conflicts, more reference overlaps. So it's a lot like pruning the garden, and we take a very proactive approach to it, or else it'll get overgrown with weeds. Whitelisting is another thing we can do. We can accommodate channels We can accommodate an artist channel if they just want to use Content ID to monitor other people's uses of their music. You know, a lot of times promotional content, clients find it distasteful to have an ad in front of what is essentially an ad if it's a promotional video. So, you know, the promotional videos can get tagged or can get matched and claimed. You know, if they're using the audio, the system doesn't really think about what the use is. It just listens for the audio and matches it. So that's what's going on with that. Whitelisting, I would also add to that release of claims. It's something we do. All right, moving on from Content ID, which is a big, dense subject, but just know that Content ID is very lucrative. It's what we see the most revenue from right now, as opposed to the subscription service. However, subscription service is very much growing fast. YouTube channels. Now, everybody knows YouTube channels, or it's a home for your video content. It can be a hub for your marketing activities. People have gotten famous on their YouTube channels. People have made millions of dollars. A big part of it is growing subscribers. You know, the traditional YouTube channel for musicians has gotten better, I would say, because of the official artist channel. So if you're an artist, a recording artist, I would suggest trying to get an official artist channel. There's a lot of best practices. We have some best practices documents we can use, we can share with you. You know, regular uploads, resharing, being social about it. It is a social medium, YouTube. You know, there's a lot of interactivity and engagement you can engage in. So, you know, comments. Sometimes the YouTube comments section is like hell on earth, but also it can be very wholesome and uplifting, and it, you know, you can mix it up with your commenters, makes them more engaged. It can make them into fans. You know, we can skip monetization, I say here in the third bullet point, if it's something you don't want on your own channel. However, a lot of people will see, you know, most of the action on their own channel, the revenue action. Making playlists, always a good idea. Playlisting can allow you to use any content. That is to say, you got some of your tracks, you mix in some of your favorite artists' tracks. You share the playlist on all your socials. Say, this is my, you know, afternoon drive playlist. You know, piggyback on the popularity of some huge artists and get your stuff out there too. That's one of the nice things about playlists and YouTube. You use anything. Same with Spotify. Channel setup and design is great. One of the nice things about the official artist channel is that, like, it kind of shoves your channel into this ideal design or layout. You know, you want to have a good banner artwork, though. Those are some graphic design requisites. You want to do thumbnails on your videos. It's very important. Share your related channels. Have your links to your socials. A lot of people suggest having a channel trailer at the tippy top of your channel, saying like, hey, here's my channel. Here's what we do. You can expect new videos every other Tuesday. Bada bing, bada boom, 30 seconds. Please subscribe and click the bell. Call to action. So that's your call to action at the top. And that has been proved to be very instrumental in gaining subscribers. You can also use end screens, cards. These are functionalities that allow you to link out, allow you to direct users, especially end screens. They pop up at the end of the video, redirect users to more iterations of your content, other channel content. All right, channel optimization is a service we offer at Symphonic. We've recently revised this offering. What we do is we do a thorough channel assessment of your content and your channel, and we tag all your content with rich and relevant keywords. Now, this is going to take your content and make it a lot more searchable, a lot more friendly to the algorithms. So, especially with the autoplay environment, you know, we want to get you to your related artists. We want to get you to the genres. We want to get you to the playlists as touchstones or you know, meta tags for for that video or for that playlist. And so we go through your channel with a fine-tooth comb, and we do all this to improve your presence. Then we look at your channel from a content release strategy. We see, what have you been doing? What are you doing? And how often are you uploading? Are you packing your content with compound content? That is to say, links, links to your other socials, links using end screens and cards that keep people redirected to other channel content. We add some of those for you. We'll talk with you, figure out what it is you want to accomplish. And then we look at your analytics, give you a deep dive on those, and show you what's working, what territories are working. There's all kind of demographic info we can think about. And then we also will apply for the official artist channel if you don't already have one. Another product we offer is channel management. Now this is we're very selective in who we do this with. There was a time when we could bring someone in for channel management and monetize their content immediately. However, in the last year, sometime in 2019, YouTube changed the rules and made it where the thresholds for a YouTube partner program, that is to say someone who's doing it on their own, which requires you to have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch time hours in the last month, which sounds like a lot, but it's not really that much. If you don't have that, you can't monetize. So used to be, we could pull someone into our multi-channel network, which is channel management, and we could monetize everything immediately because we're a big partner. But with big partners, content manager partners, they've changed it where the people we onboard now have to make those requisites or thresholds. So we can't accept anyone under 1,000 subscribers. And if your last video was 7 months ago, we probably can't accept you either. So it's got to be channels that are up and running and we're rocking it, you know? Now that said, the advantage of channel management is that when we bring you in, we create music video assets or web assets, depending on what type of content it is. And this allows us to monetize your entire channel. This is as opposed to Content ID, where we're just monetizing that which comes through audio distribution. So the basis of our monetization with Content ID is the audio tracks. However, when we do channel management, we can grab all the stuff in your channel, your behind the scenes stuff, your biographical, your documentary type stuff, your goofy videos that don't use any audio that you've distributed. And so sometimes that stuff is more popular than your tracks maybe. So it depends on if you have that stuff in abundance as to whether or not it's an advantage to you. Now, channel management will occur at the same revenue share as Content ID. So if you're accepted, you know, it's worth it for you if you're already doing Content ID. But we just have to be choosy because not everybody can do it. The advantage being that we are going to monetize your whole channel. Now, there are new restrictions on the channel types we can invite. And this is because of YouTube's push for the official artist channel and the importance of the official artist channels in the environment of music on YouTube, trying to make everything artist-centric with the user experience of YouTube Music. So regrettably, we can no longer invite label channels to channel management, only artist channels. Seems arbitrary to me, but it's YouTube's platform. So we're gonna go with their energy. So just be aware of that. What's next for YouTube? Well, there's more and more marketing opportunities are becoming present on the platform. You know, priority releases. It's starting to act more like a DSP, a traditional streamer. So, you know, feel free to promote YouTube Music as much as you would Spotify or Apple or Tidal. A nice feature is certain artists can get merch links or ticket sale links that appear right below their videos. We can help apply for that if you want. Our tracks are showing up better. YouTube Music Premium is growing. Our tracks are showing up better in the search results, I should say. You know, the official artist channels, I'll never stop singing the praises of them. They're great. It puts all the stuff in one place, which has been sorely missing for the past 4 years or so. So highly encourage you to get those. I already said this, but it makes sense to actively market YouTube Music. Because of the bad functionality and the bad user experience, for a lot of years, people didn't push hard on getting users directed to YouTube Music. But now you got playlists, you got a sleek interface, you got these YouTube Music artist pages, you got official artist pages, which will get people to the YouTube Music content, which monetizes at a better rate. So it's a good time to be pushing YouTube with your marketing dollars. At Symphonic, we're expanding our Content ID presence to more of our distributed labels. If you don't have it, you should get it. Feel free to contact me or go through the form to apply for Content ID. So just to remind you, this is all my time. We're going to have Content ID. We got YouTube Music, it's rocking. You can use your traditional YouTube channel. We can apply for an official artist channel on your behalf, which pulls in the YouTube Music content. Channel optimization is a one-time service. We also have channel management for those who are qualified. But thanks for your time. Enjoy the rest of Music Industry Sessions. I'm Steve Lewis, Director of UGC and Video.